Welcome back to another episode Exploring Whiskey.
All right, so today we got a special bottle. We are continuing our run of whiskeys of the year for Whisky Advocate. This was number 2. This is the Highland Park Cask Strength Batch 4.
I forgot this was number 2.
Number 2. That was a weird year. 2023 for Whisky Advocate, weird year.
Yeah.
Number 1 was a Scotch as well.
It was international all over the place.
It was very Scotch heavy. A lot of Irishes showed up, a couple Teelings, things like that. It was really, really kind of cool. Little Book was up in there too.
That was the only bourbon that was in the top 5, I think.
I would agree.
They're taking this whole bourbon thing and we're going to calm it down a little bit. There's other
think
things
people
to
got upset from the 22 top whiskey being Jack Daniels.
Oh.
Maybe people got upset about that.
Someone's still
right,
salty about that.
Highland Park. I want to say the island's Orkney, if I remember that correctly. It is the northern tip of Scotland. There's a little island just north of that, and that's where this is distilled. And
is this the most northern?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that, but possibly. Most northern Scotch.
Okay.
There's a good possibility. But you'll see in the way the glass is all designed and everything about these, they're very tied to Vikings and Celtic knotworks and
Vikings.
really, really cool stuff going on in here.
Yes.
It is not Isla smokiness, but there is an island impact, a saltwatery thing coming off of this, and just honestly, it's pretty magical.
The distillery that changed my whole brain on Scotch.
Yeah,
gotta say, honestly.
Very, very, just crazy yumminess. 1798. They've been doing this for a little while.
But it's only their 4th cask strength release?
Only the 4th batch of their cask strength release. Yeah. Yeah. So, they don't give an age statement, but Scotch has to be 3 years old.
Okay.
This particular release is 128.6 proof.
Yes.
That's a healthy Scotch. Don't see that too often. And the pricing depends on where you find it. About $100. I got mine for 90. I'll take it for 90. I'd buy this all day for 90. What is all that magicalness? So each one,
it's cookie dough and what?
It's raw shortbread. So I wouldn't say cookie dough. I'd say shortbread cookies.
It doesn't have the sugary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
With just a touch of a salty note to it, and a touch of a smokiness.
And baking powder, not baking sugars, like or the high rye.
Yes. Yeah. And it's great. Each of the releases, all batch 1 through 4, they've made adjustments. Like each one's different. They've gone a little bit more salty, a little bit more smoky, a little bit more fruit, all the different things. So the fact that they're also playing in that game of trying to make a difference in each one of their releases is great.
Yeah.
And
then there's some of the brine. There's some brine, but some fruit as well. Yeah.
I like salted pears.
Okay, let's go in.
Okay.
There's the pear.
One that does not start off drinking like 128, but boy, does it come in towards the end of the palate.
Wow.
Charred pears. Like just totally charred.
And it smacked me right in the middle of my tongue of a pear, and then at the end, it's
super charred.
Yeah.
A little briny coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet, just sweet though. Really sweeter than I was originally expecting.
Yeah, it's grilled pears with some honey on top of them. Give it to me. Wow.
And eat a shortbread cookie. All together.
Yeah, maybe put it on top of a shortbread cookie. Wow. That's good. That's real good.
That's good.
That's complex. There's a lot.
Yes, there's a lot going on. This is a whiskey you could probably pour a bigger pour and sip on for 10, 20 minutes, and you're going to get like nuance each time you take a sip out of that.
Or pour it, walk away.
Yeah,
As
let
you're
it open
grilling,
up a touch.
you come back to it. Oh, let me see. Ooh, it's amazing the nose, how it changes from that shortbread cookie dough to
like
a little bit of, you get salt,
briny,
you get
the
brine.
salt.
Yeah.
The salt is odd, like salted caramel, but not caramel. If you know what like you get salted sweetness, but it's not caramel. It's something different. I don't put salt on fruit, but that's kind of what it comes off as, salt on fruit.
It's definitely green-skinned fruit. It's like a Granny Smith, or it's definitely more lending towards pear.
Yeah.
The sweetness.
Yeah, I get more
sour.
Yeah, that pear. Gosh.
But yeah, my nose from now on is very briny.
And it's still mouth is watering.
Yeah.
At this point, just smelling it, and after that first sip, just mouth watering. How crazy that comes across. Ooh, but the astringent on the tongue, it pops like right in the middle of the palate. It's like, ooh, that's sweet. Ooh, that's salty. And it's like, boom, there's proof. Or like, there's alcohol.
Wow.
That 128 just like, I'm here too.
It's so weird. It's like a smoked, if you put a shortbread cookie on a Traeger and then take a little bite, and then there's like this salt. I don't know. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Salt with like a fruit compote on top. Let's see. I have no idea what's going to happen with this. There's a lot. I assume there's a lot of oil in this. It's going to do something magical. I don't know what magic it's going to bring together here.
I think it's going to cut back on that briny. It's going to bring out some of that compote, the sweetness.
Well, the thing they did different for batch 4 was they did a sherry finish on it.
Oh.
So I would expect a little bit more of a raisin, dried fruit note to pop, maybe.
Yep.
So
fruit.
kind of, which I'd be totally happy with. Did you get a vanilla pop on the nose? Big vanilla pop.
It's on the palate too.
That's where'd they come from? Where the hell did vanilla come from? I don't remember getting that.
It's a sugar cookie. It's just vanilla, and you still get that yeasty, but there's that honey vanilla sugar.
Different.
Oh.
That water totally changed that.
It knocks the brine off. It knocks the medicinal note.
There's the smoke is still there. So like you took a sugar cookie and smoked that on the Traeger. But there's way more sweetness. Vanilla notes kind of pop through on the nose and the palate.
Oils are so prevalent. I mean.
That's
look at that.
It's just like, oh look, I'm hanging out.
I'm here.
If you don't like a little bit of smoke, like if you're really not a fan of Scotch or even experimenting in that, this isn't for you.
Right. Yeah.
This is not going to be.
That's a good.
Something that you'd be interested in.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
If you're okay with not a crazy smoke or even a crazy brine, it's not Isla, it's not an Ardbeg, it's not a Lefroy, it's not a Lagavulin. But it hints in all of that with so many sweet, sugary, cookie, doughy type things coming through. Yeah, you should try this.
For sure.
And the complexity that comes off of this guy.
It's a sweet, it's like a subtle, sweet smoke. Like, oh, it's inviting.
It's like cherry wood type, like that kind of apple wood. That if you're gonna smoke like barbecue, it's not just oak. Yeah. It's not a mesquite. It's none of those things. It's like a really sweet wood that's coming off and just touching it. Little wisps.
When I started, I guess when I went down this Scotch hole, this guy brought me down there. I mean, one of the things, like, it was such a I guess a blanket statement. What he said to me is like, you got to get past the smoke to taste these things. It's such a arbitrary, such a broad statement.
It's a throwaway statement.
But if you think that, I honestly thought that in my head. I've never told you this, but I've thought that through drinking early on with Scotch, and like, it's made a world of difference in what I've experienced in my nose, in my mouth. there's so much more going on. There's so much more going on. There's subtle notes.
There's that
the same
next
way,
level.
Yeah, the same
Scotch
way with
does
bourbon.
that. Yeah. You're right. If it's a really high rye bourbon, if you can get past that initial rye spice note, then you start to get to the nuance of the bourbon.
Yes.
But a lot of people get stuck on that primary note.
Yes.
And never get to the secondary and tertiary notes.
Or that sweetness. It's like, oh my gosh, it's brown sugar sweetness. Yeah. It's just sweet. No, there's so much more going on there. You have to let your palate just expand a little bit. Sometimes you got to reset. Sometimes you got to smell something else. Sometimes you got to maybe have a little bite of something. Sometimes you got to rinse your mouth. But try something else. Don't just don't go down your wheelhouse. Try something new. Challenge yourself. This guy, the first Highland Park, it wasn't a cask strength. It was the 12-year, the 10-year.
The 12-year.
It was the first time I had a whiskey that just evolved. And like as the night went on, there were 3 different times I went back to it and went, wow, it's this. Oh my God, now it's this. And that's what it's all about for me. It's the ride.
Yeah. If it changes, that takes a whiskey and moves it like to the next level of this is something I'm going to enjoy.
Yes.
It's not, or I'm just going to make a cocktail out of it, or well, it's good, and I'm just going to drink it and move on to the next one. This is one to sit with.
How much is this one?
I got it for $90. $90. It's going to be 90 to 100.
It's like having that ride for that much money. I'm in.
And it's not my opinion, you're not doing like 3 or 4. I would pour probably a healthier amount than what we just sampled.
Yeah.
And sip on it over 20 minutes. Like let it sit there for a little while and then come back to it. And like that's what I think this is for.
Yes.
So that's going to last. Like you're not going to be pounded through this.
Right.
Could, honestly. I mean, you probably could if you were just like this. That's the note you were running. Let me go back. I could do this a couple times, but
yes,
I think this is more of a one time later in the evening, maybe like after your like your 3rd, 4th pour, doing this guy, and be like, oh, before your nightcap.
Yeah.
It's not the nightcap, but it's like before the nightcap.
And I'm not a cigar guy, but every time I go to a Highland Park cask, I feel like this will hold up to a cigar.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, you could take a pull on a cigar and a sip of this, and you will still taste this.
I think you'll get
the cigar is not going to kill this.
Yeah, I think the cigar will just bring out all the sweetness.
I like that.
Start at their, what is the 10-year, the 10 and 12-year?
I think the 12 is the baseline. I think it's their 12-year is their kind of like baseline one.
Yeah.
And I want to say that's like 60-ish, 70, but somewhere's in that ballpark.
Start there,
The proof is 80 something. It's much lower. So not going to be quite as complex, but you'll still pick up that little bit of brine. It's way more brine than it is smoke, but there's still some smoke in there. And there's just complexity that's nice about this.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Good pour.
I agree with number 2. Well, I don't know. I haven't had like the top 10 to be able to say that, but I agree that this should be in the top 10 because it is a very different whiskey that brings a lot of great notes to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to try the other 7.
Agreed.
Agreed. Have we had?
Well, we had number 1, and this is number 2.
Right. So.
We've also had number like 18. I don't know what to say particularly about this. Like, this is going to be for someone that's a little bit more experimental.
Right.
If you already like Scotch, totally go this way. But if you're not a Scotch person and you want to experiment, this is a great experiment. Like, just ride the ride, get past the smoke brine, and try to find the next layers of tastes, and you'll really enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's really magical once you teach yourself to get past those.
Yeah. It does take a while. I mean, just to have some, try different ways, different glasses, water, ice, try some things to bring out those notes because there's a lot of stuff going on in these pours.
if you could, throw a little thumbs up. Really appreciate you supporting the channel. That helps with the algorithm and gets our video seen by more people. That would be awesome. And I will link to the review of the batch 2 cask strength that we did, I don't know, probably a year or so ago. Link up to that. And so April is Make-A-Wish Day is April 29th. And so we like to do a little fundraiser and raise money for the Middle Tennessee chapter of Make-A-Wish. So you will see a link down in the description. It would be great if you could click on that and support that charity. It's a great charity, what they do for the kids and the wishes and that they can provide. Absolutely amazing. That's really the whole reason why this channel started, was due to Make-A-Wish. My son's wish was to be a YouTube star, which I'm going to say he did. The video about his wish is over 1 million views, so that makes him a YouTube star. In my opinion, we are not YouTube stars, but we do this in honor of that wish. And we would very much appreciate anything that you would donate, and we'll match up to $500 of everything that's donated to that to our fundraiser this month. And on that note, see you on the next episode. Cheers.